Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collected podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, welcome to TFYLP, episode 604. We're live tonight. It is Tuesday, November 26th. I'm Lucas. I'm joined tonight by Anna.
The normal one.
And Phil.
Hi.
And Paul.
Not the normal one.
Hello.
So there we go. So before we start the show, I did turn my mic input volume up. If they can just say in the chat, how does my audio sound? Is it too high, too low? Let me know. Oh, I guess apparently Talib's saying that you're frozen already, Phil, but that was from before.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to be frozen.
Yeah, if you just stay in the one spot.
You know, the comedy works a lot better if we work it out before.
It's way too much work.
I was confused.
As long as it's funny in my own brain, that's all that matters.
Back in the day, I used to prepare notes and make a plan and come up with topic ideas and starter questions and things, and everyone made fun of me. So I stopped.
Way to be a nerd amongst a bunch of nerds.
Well, writing a script is a good way to end up improving everything anyways. So, you're going to do it
I know
that
all
way.
about that from teaching.
Yeah.
Well, and as soon as you write this detailed script or whatever, they're going to have some kind of crazy breaking news that we have to discuss. Which I guess there wasn't really any breaking news this week, other than there's been all these various leaks, which I guess now the new trend is that whatever the leaked figures now don't have heads. Have you seen this online?
I've been doing that for at least 24 months.
Oh, okay.
It's just supposedly it's a way to stop people from buying them, but they still take pictures of them and try to sell them at least. So, the word gets out anyways. But yeah, this latest one is Red Alert, right? Red Alert and Prima. Is that what we're talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prima looks like concept art cup. I mean, it doesn't look bad. I kind of dig it, but it's just a lot of similarities.
What a concept art cup? What are you talking about?
Like a concept art design of Cup's pickup truck mode.
Oh, the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does. It does look kind of like that. I didn't put that two and two together. The color really kind of makes it there. But it looks like it might be supposed to pull something. Maybe because I thought he was going to be a van, something really silly. But a semi kind of makes sense. I don't know. I'm interested to see how that finally turns out.
Why not?
Better come with the sword, right?
Well, I'll be kind of curious with, the new list of characters they have coming out. I wonder how successful they're going to end up being, because a lot of these are, figures that we may never have gotten representation previously, or, we've gotten something here or there, but it's not what you think of traditional G1 Transformers, right? And we've just kind of come off a trilogy of a lot of mixture that where they've been doing some Not necessarily the G1 figures. And I'm curious. I guess it's selling well. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I mean, at this point, the only sales numbers they would have would be towards the distributors or the big box stores. So I mean, they're not selling to the public yet.
Right, but I know for me, the last, several waves or whatever of the line, like I really feel like I've been picking and choosing a lot more. And I was like, I'm just going to wait for the Hasbro sale, for the Black Friday sale to buy more of this stuff. And, a lot of the stuff that I didn't pick up was all on the sale, as I expected. And even with that, I was like, I kind of still picked and choose with what I ended up picking up. That, I still didn't pick up one of those Mayhem packs, the one with Windsweeper or whatever. Like, because I was just like, do I really need this? Even at 35% off. Paul, I know you're like, don't be snoozing over there. You have that look.
You just made a clarification that you picked and choose things. Everyone picks and choose. No one blanket gets everything. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Well, okay. So, caveat, previous to this, I pretty much got like the generations or whatever, I got the entire wave. Like I would just ordered the whole thing, right? From the beginning. And then I know Phil, like over the years is like, hey, you really shouldn't be doing that. You should be picking and choosing, and you should, wait for sales to get your figures. And so that's what I took Phil's advice. I did that this time. And even with that, now I'm like not having the figure for like a year or 6 months or whatever it may be. I'm like, do I really need this figure? I haven't had it. Like the FOMO is kind of done at this point. Everyone's done talking about whatever these figures are.
Are you saying you're a real boy now, Lucas? You finally made it? You're not stuck as a Transformers fan forever?
Like, I don't know. So are you saying you haven't changed your buying habits with in regards to Hasbro figures lately? Like in the last year?
Me? Oh, no. Because I've had rules that I set in place like a long time ago, and I have not broken them. Like, I follow my collecting rules. They're crazy, and I don't want to talk about them, but I don't... Like, I'm definitely picking and choosing. Like, definitely. But I'm character collecting. So, like, in some sense, I am not picking and choosing. But, like, not like at a whole line level. Like, I'm getting every Starscream. And luckily, for the Transformers 1, haven't had to get much. It's great. So, I guess I'm just saying, no one is blanket getting literally everything. So, it makes... what you're saying makes perfect sense.
Oh, they put Roboson on the season savings event. How exciting. You get 35% off $700 for Little Opto.
Oh, I do have a story about that. Anna, my kid, actually texted me a video of the Roboson Megatron. And
ooh.
I was like, oh, what's this? He's like, oh, I thought you might, be interested and whatnot. And I was like, well, I would be, but I'm not $700 interested or whatever. I have no idea whatever the Megatron is. So he was like, yeah, fair point. But again, like my kid doesn't send me, videos of the Generations figures, right? He's sending me to Paul's point, right? The average people probably are seeing those Roboson figures and going, oh yeah, that's the Transformer I should pick up.
Well, I mean, most people would, most non-Transformers fans, if they're going to spend $1,000 on a Transformer item, they're probably going to spend it on that and not like the whole line over the course of a year.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of work and patience and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, they blow it all in one cool big item, and that's what the Roboson stuff seems to be serving.
And I think for some people that seems less ridiculous too. Like when they think of just, I got this one like really big thing to show my fandom instead of a freaking glass case full of tons of items to show my fandom, right? That just makes more logical sense to them.
But the majority of us are maximalists. You just look at these screens. You know what I mean? So it's weird that what you're saying makes sense, Anna, but like it's like the truth feels different.
Oh yeah. I mean, you said look at the screens, which you and I are both not by our collections right now, but the other two definitely are. So
yeah, we are the same.
we are the same. Yeah, it's just over there. I would just have to go over there, and I can't quite do that for you.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting to hear that that's breaking through, especially with it being Megatron, considering this is the, third or fourth one of these, depending on how you count, the small Optimus. So it's it's definitely one of those things that Megatron's been the one that's been the most interesting to me, and his price has not been as ridiculous as some of the others have been. So he's been the only one that I've been even semi tempted to acquire. Have not, but at least semi tempted to.
Yeah, I have a friend who got it, and she loves it, but I don't know. I need to check back with her in 6 months, and see like when was the last time you actually hung out with your Roboson Megatron? And I'm going to be surprised if she doesn't say 6 months ago.
How many toys can we all say that about? Granted, they're not spending that much.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In life.
Well, I mean, that's why, again, like, way back in the day, they had those Star Wars Firo droids that came out, and I'm pretty happy those actually came out first because, again, like, after we messed with it for a little bit, then I was like, okay, like, and never really did anything else with it. And I was like, I knew that that's what would happen with the Roboson figures too. And so I think that, again, if I didn't have all this stuff behind me, and then I have a bunch more stuff in front of me as well, like if I didn't have all these figures, I would definitely be tempted to get that stuff. But, you definitely have to pick and choose no matter what you're doing.
I was very, very excited for this sale. They had the MP44S on sale for really, really great price. I've been eyeballing that for a while, wanting to, try and get it for less than retail. And I thought that moment had come and gone because it kind of disappeared off of a lot of places' inventories. But Pulse came through, so I'm excited to get that. I've not opened and played with an MP44 yet, so this will be my first time with that mold.
Yeah, I actually saw that about the same thing.
Which one is that?
It is the toy color version of MP44 sans trailer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so you can get it for a really good price on there right now. Like it's less than 150. So
yeah, I think after taxes it crept above 150, but still, it's. I'm really, really happy about that. Lucas,
that's a really good price for that figure.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Anna.
I was just gonna say it's a really good price for that figure.
Yeah. Lucas, you said you ordered this guy right here.
I did. Well, everyone has been raving about it, and I almost was tempted at TFCon, because Paul, you had one at your booth, and I was like, oh, maybe I should pull, go ahead and do it. But I'm glad that I was able to get it on the sale. So
I'd say that's one of the highlights of the sale because it really felt like that was going to be a figure you could snooze on because it was this Japanese exclusive. But here it is for the sale.
I bought those in this sale as well. So.
Yeah. Because, like really any of those Takara figures, I mean, that's the thing. Like, once those sell out, like, they sell out. I mean,
you should look at the price on Christmas Optimus right now. I think
is it intense?
It's a surprise to some, and
Are you
this
talking the
one
Audi
could
one?
be similar. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Holiday, whatever. Just as an aside, like I think, look at what that's doing, and then look at Lunar Prime right now, and think about
Yeah.
if you
Right.
want to wait on getting that or not. I would
Right.
not.
Yeah. But that's always the case. I feel like most of the Japanese stuff, there's probably a handful of things where, they do a re-release and then, the numbers kind of go up. But otherwise, a lot of those, it's like once they're gone, they're gone. So.
What do you guys think about Frankenstein? I saw Frankenstein was on there. Kind of considered it for half a second.
I can't remember if I added one to my cart, just like sort of an F it, I said I said I hated you, and I would never talk to you again, Frankenstein robot. And here I was making up, and I think I might have bought one.
I
I
don't
mean,
hate
that's
it.
certainly one of those that, like the Dracula one, people will forget about it, people won't care about it, and then they'll do a third one, and suddenly people are like, oh wait,
I need the other
yeah,
two.
exactly, yeah,
To do the mummy or something, or the
Mhm.
creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, it'll be creature or mummy.
or a shaggy wolf robot.
Oh yeah, they'll
Wolfman.
be a werewolf too.
Yeah,
Wolfman got nards, let's Monster Squad it up.
yeah. But I'm just the idea of a fuzzy robot.
Is not to totally change subjects, but since like you're talking about Black Friday sales, is TF Source this week doing like a different sale every day?
Yeah.
Ooh, so much work.
That's what they typically
Yeah, today
do,
was their
right?
Mm-hmm.
today was their XTB sale. So they have a bunch of
Yeah.
X-Transpods sell or X-Transpods figures for super cheap.
So that the thought behind that is they just want you to come to the website every day.
Yep.
Yep.
Obviously.
Right.
That makes a big difference. So it's worth it.
Well, I think
Yeah,
normally
it's-
the way they've done it is like they do a different thing for sale every day, and then at the very end, they like put everything that they have left. Like as far as say if they had it, for sale Monday, it'll be on sale again Friday or whatever. Like whatever the last day of the sale is, like if it's still in stock. That's what they've done in the past. Can't say they'll do that this time, but
When they absolutely want everything in it gone.
right.
And I'll say that they're definitely a big feature of last week. We did the cautionary tales of sales, and they're a big feature of that because they put the things they put on sale are the things they can't sell. Like that's definitely the way they do things.
Yeah.
It's fair. It's totally
Right.
fair.
That's
It's
why everyone cries about, what is it, Amazon Prime Day? They're like, oh, it's all the garbage is for sale. Like, yeah, because that's what they need to get out of there. Like the good stuff that people are buying, they're not going to put that shit on sale. Only
Well,
the
I think we
garbage.
forgot, because things got so screwy during COVID that you would have good stuff go on sale with some of these things because something would be hard to get, and then they would do a restock of it, but they'd over order a restock of something, and so then you'd have this once hard to find item, whether it's a toy or a video game, whatever, just overproduced in the surplus, and now they got to clearance that thing. So that again, we look at last year with how much stuff we saw at Ross. So you kind of get this idea that I just wait for the sale, all the great stuff will be on sale. It's like maybe, but I wouldn't blanket statement say that all the stuff you want is going to get on sale.
Well, Phil, what's so crazy about all that? I used to be like, man, people just make up the dumbest stuff. Just anything to cope, with not being able to find a toy. And then lo and behold, the other day, you send me a link to that toy parody website. I don't know, Toy Farce or something.
Yeah.
And what did it say?
I don't remember. I sent out a couple of those a month.
Okay. It said that we're seeing the investors are suing Hasbro. Right?
Wait, what now?
Do you not remember
Investors are suing
this?
Hasbro? What is this?
Yeah.
No, I'm blanking on this, man. Please remind me.
Oh my God, this is like too. I thought this was. I heard you guys talking about it earlier, or in the chat or something. But yeah,
No, I think Randall like made a mention on one of the
That's
comments, and you replied.
He heard about it. Yeah. But Phil, you sent me this information, so I'm shocked that you're clueless. Yeah, the investors found out that Hasbro was basically fibbing on the demand. I don't know how you can fib on demand. You're predicting something that has hardly any basis, but they basically weren't communicating that they had so much surplus of stock to the investors. And it's very clear because of the Ross stuff, the stuff that all the toy people are like, oh, you can wait at Ross because everything shows up at Ross. Like they have a scientific paper about how that works. These guys were kind of right. It's a crazy world. I can't believe it. So Hasbro seems to be in some sort of trouble, but I'm regurgitating this from like a secondary source, probably, which would be the paper. We have interviews or anything yet.
Hasbro, a shareholder, former Louisiana Attorney General. Yeah. So, yep, there is a lawsuit going on, violating securities laws.
That seems pretty big.
Yeah, with losses.
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a class action suit that sounds like it's been going on for a while, but the deadline, investors who purchased the company's securities between February 7th of 2022 and October 25th, 2023, are encouraged to join in the class action suit.
Wow.
According to the complaint, the company made false and misleading statements to the market. Hasbro misled investors about the quality of its inventory. The company also falsely claimed that inventory levels were rising due to outstanding demand, instead of excess production outpacing weak demand. Based on these facts, the company's public statements were false and materially misleading throughout the class period. When the market learned the truth about Hasbro, investors suffered damages. So, yeah, I was not 100% aware of that. In fact, when I say not 100%, I was 0% aware of that until just now.
Then what the heck? Who sent me this? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's a real story.
Yeah.
And now we have some facts. So thank you, Phil.
Yep.
Interesting.
I would be incredibly skeptical about that they could actually win a lawsuit, like something like that. I mean, I'm sure that there are plenty of companies that have had excess inventory over certain periods or whatever. And I don't see how you could say that they intentionally misled investors, but
yeah, I mean, you have to find evidence of what they said in public and then actual data trails showing that, like, we're not telling the truth about that.
Can't you claim a competitive advantage of not telling your competitors in public your fucking inventory numbers, though? Like, this makes...
I mean, you got to report that stuff to shareholders. You got to report how you're doing in terms of, I don't.
But you have to be vague. You can't. We have 500 billion units in Malaysia. Like, you don't say that. You say
no, but you
things
say,
are good.
No, you're going to talk in percentages.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess I'm agreeing with Lucas a little bit on this. I think it sounds a little flimsy. I think it's more about the investors want to send a message. Like, and if they're unified, that's kind of crazy. Like, that's hard to do. But I think it's more about sending a message to Cox, the CEO, like, yo, steer the ship.
Right. Well, I am curious just in general. We had kind of talked about this where, through COVID, all these companies kind of had this inflated demand at the time, right? And then they're trying to catch up with that demand, and then I mean, overproduce. I'm curious how many companies kind of, were in a similar situation, with that, as what Hasbro was. So
Toys might have been especially hit hard, though, in a way that we can't really understand yet, though. Remember, there was like a boom, but it was old toys, not like new toys.
Right.
I think you probably had. I think you had both. I'm sure anything that involved any collectible stuff, anything like gaming, anything like video games, anything for people to do like at home and spend their free time and occupy their extra time that they had. All that stuff, I'm sure, took off, to big numbers. And, hopefully for a lot of these companies, because that's, stuff I tend to enjoy, they held on to a percentage of that new customer base. But, I would be shocked if any of them held on to 100% of the customer base they grew during COVID. So it's just, it's like, oh, guess what? You can go out to eat and go to a concert and go to a bar with your friends now. And you couldn't do that before. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like some video game systems, like a Xbox or PS5 or, like maybe some PC sales or, whatever that I could, potentially see some of that. Where there's like pent up demand. I guess the auto industry is going through this right now with cars, right? Because it was so hard to find them during COVID, and now it sounds like, with kind of like some of the rising interest rates and whatever, that cars are starting to pile up on dealer lots, comparative to where you couldn't find a car 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whenever it was. So I don't know. That's the only thing I could kind of think of.
Yeah, I just kind of chuckle at all of this stuff because it's this. There's this sentiment that we have in society these days where, if you it's so much instant gratification. You want something, you press a button, and Amazon gets it to your house within 3 hours. You're hungry for something, DoorDash brings it to your front porch in 20 minutes, kind of thing. So, we have this bad habit as a society of applying those same kind of dynamics to so many other facets in life, and it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, these companies, car companies, they take, years to cycle through, increased demand, decreased demand, all this sort of thing. And then, you'll have people just sort of like jokingly lambast them. Like, oh, look at all the cars in that lot. They got that wrong. It's like, yeah, what do you want people to do when you have a once in a century pandemic and you don't have a playbook for how to react to that kind of thing? So it's just, yeah. I mean, everyone just acts like this stuff is just simple and easy. It's like, no, freaking really, really hard.
Everyone was guessing. There was hardly any stability. Like, what's going to happen tomorrow?
Right.
Let alone against my job.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the other, industry hit too is like the movie industry. And we saw that with Transformers 1 and so many other movies where they're having a really hard time guessing what's going to be a hit and what's not, too. And, obviously Transformers 1, we all thought it was great, that we enjoyed it. And apparently the average public, for whatever reason, thought that wasn't a great movie. It finally ended its box office run here. I think not even making its production budget back globally, and then it's now on Paramount Plus, and I don't even think that it was like really lighting up. It's not the number one thing on that either. So
this has happened before. Okay, this has happened before. It happened in 1986. Didn't
the
it?
original movie, right?
It did, yeah.
The parallel is right there. It's like lost a budget. Brand sinking. World's changing. Beast Wars. Like what? Maybe they'll hit a home run, or it's gonna be really sad.
I mean, it's just frustrating as a Transformer fan that the Michael Bay movies, which I don't enjoy for the most part, made just buku dollars. And Transformers 1, which I thought was a legitimately very good and entertaining movie, underperforms. It's just like, what the hell?
It's too late. They already fooled you 15 times, and no one came back.
Yeah.
They cried wolf.
Yeah. I mean, it shows you just like how big the brand was and how far it's fallen when something that is getting good reviews, getting good word of mouth, has a good cast, still gets overlooked.
In 10, 15 years, people are going to be talking about that movie. I promise you. History will repeat.
Oh, no, I agree, but it's not going to be the average person that's talking about it. I mean, again, the average person is probably not talking about the original Transformers movies. It's people like
Not
us.
really. But it'll be the people digging for good Transformers fiction. Like,
Right.
the book club, right? We started the book club with the IDW run and we ran out, right? So we started reading other things, watching other things. And, like, not everything's very good, right? There's a lot of things we, like, pick up and we're like, ooh, this isn't as good as we hoped it would be. And, they're digging through things like the Japanese Beast Wars series now because those are decent and fun to watch and talk about, but they're very old. And a lot of American fans didn't talk about them at all when they first came out. So, I think you'll see similar things in the future where people are digging for actual good fiction in the Transformers history. Suddenly it's hilarious to Paul.
Yeah, what is so funny, Paul?
I'm so sorry. Nothing you said. I'm sorry. I couldn't. I was distracted is all. I'm sorry that was so visible.
Yeah.
I've been distracted in my life. I get it. But I think this is a good segue because I know Lucas really wanted to talk about the news about Hasbro and movies.
Well, that was one of the
I think it goes in with the
potential
Exactly.
things so
It
I
was
guess
really
Hasbro
well with
I
the
think
lawsuit.
said in their most recent statement that I don't know whatever some statement to the street that they're no longer going to be financing movies. So I think previously they had been partially financing some of the Paramount movies and won't be doing that any longer.
So Phil, like, what does that mean to you?
I mean, to me, I don't know exactly how to read this because I don't know if they're done with movies. Like, are we going to get the Transformers G.I. Joe movie like they've talked about coming from, Rise of the Beast? I can't see Hasbro and Paramount completely giving up on this, but giving it a break for a longer period of time makes sense. Again, it's like the two movies that were mentioned by name, in reading some of those articles about that were Dungeons and Dragons and Transformers 1. Both really fun, entertaining movies.
Good movies.
And it's like, they're not Academy Award winning, blockbuster caliber stuff, but it's just, I can't tell if it's the movie going public just not having the same appetite for certain stuff anymore, or what. I just have a hard time reading it because, both my boys loved Transformers 1. All the other parents that I know that they took their kids to see it were just like the parents and the kids were like, yeah, that was a surprisingly good movie. Dungeons and Dragons, the people I know who I saw were like, yeah, that was not into D&D, but that was fun. Like, I didn't feel like I needed to be in D&D. I'm not into D&D, and I liked it.
It's a real bummer for the D&D movie because there aren't a lot of good fantasy single films, that are not like, these giant epics like Lord of the Rings and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
There aren't a lot of good, like, short, self-contained fantasy movies. And that sure as heck was one, right? Like, I got all the D&D references, obviously, but I think even without those D&D references, I watched it with a friend who's not a D&D player, and she thought it was great. It was just like, I like fantasy stuff. I'm interested in this stuff, and this is funny and interesting and cool, and I don't need more, and I don't need to have the background. I can just enjoy this one movie, and that was cool. And it's a bummer that it didn't inspire Hasbro to want to do more. Because I can tell you, having watched the last Hollywood D&D movie, and having watched a lot of the straight-to-video D&D movies, they're mostly awful. And that was just a really like breakthrough kind of like I've been waiting for it for a long time, much like with Transformers 1. And it's a bummer just to hear that it didn't hit home.
Again, I don't know the full ramifications of this, but this just seems like this is on par for course of what Cox is doing compared to his predecessor, where what was the entertainment company that Hasbro bought under the predecessor CEO? And so it's just Hasbro kind of getting, they and you see this expansion and contraction of companies that will do this. Like they start to get in a good place, they feel like they're in good footing on something, then they try to expand on that, and then things get a little rocky, and then they kind of circle the wagons and contract things and shrink back in. And as long as the company doesn't go under, you will probably see an expansion of that cycle again. And one of the things they did talk about in these articles was that some of their again, going back to Dungeons and Dragons, some of their video game property stuff and the tie-ins to their IP through video games has been tremendously successful. So, Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons through the different, I don't know, different variety that those things exist in. That's making Hasbro bucket loads of cash.
I'm assuming you're talking about Baldur's Gate being really successful. Yeah.
Yes.
This is a D&D game.
Yeah.
But it went way beyond being a D&D game, right? It was like one of the big games of that year.
Right.
Can
everybody played it?
Can we put a pin in this topic for a whole episode? The end of Transformers? Like, what would that be like? Like, think about it and bring it, because that would...
Yeah, I would actually be really interested in that, because, we've talked a lot...
It won't end.
Like, how would the brand end, but also, like, what would it do to us? Because, like, I've talked to different cast members about, like, some of the cast members think that there will be an end for them, right? Like, some have actually talked about, like, eventually I'm going to stop doing this. Whereas I've never stopped. So I don't think I'm going to. Like, I just love toys. If Transformers stops as a brand, I'm going to focus on something else again, right? Like, it'll be fine. But I think it will have a differential effect on different fans.
My dad is in his 70s and is part of a model train club and still buys and interacts with that. So this kind of thing's in my freaking genetics.
Fantastic.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Transformers as a brand, I have a hard time saying that it's going to go away completely. Like, it's been around for, 40 years now. And I think that it's become a, one of those major brands. Like, I mean, you see it like Batman or Ninja Turtles or, again, like some of the Marvel stuff and Star Wars. I think that, because of the way that Transformers, where it reinvents itself every number of years, like, I think that it could definitely get to a point where it's not going to be the same success level that it's been, but like at the same time, I don't think it's ever going to go away completely, or even like have something like how G.I. Joe had, where like it was just gone for a number of years.
What? Okay. So, which do you think will go down first? Hasbro the company or Transformers the brand?
Hasbro the company by far will go down or not exist in the state that it is right now. This is...
It might get bought.
Yes.
Or it could literally go under. It could literally implode.
But they will sell their IP.
Yeah,
before they go
for
fully
sure.
under, they will sell their IP. Someone will buy the IP. Optimus Prime, like Luke was just saying, is like Ninja Turtles, is like Batman. Optimus Prime is like Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is never going to go away. Mickey Mouse will exist in some fashion or other in perpetuity because of what he is for that brand. Um, you know, Optimus Prime and Transformers will, for all intents and purposes, be the same thing as that.
Right.
Saying it'd be fun to think about it ahead of time and bring your scenarios.
Oh,
And
definitely. I think it would be a lot of fun.
not right now, but like
Yeah.
Right.
some other time.
Yeah, no, because
Yeah.
right now this was supposed to be our uplifting Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah. Well, they also mentioned too in that press
isn't
release.
my outlook uplifting? My outlook is saying that it will never go away.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
In that press release too, they said what they wanted by not focusing on investing in the movies, and it doesn't necessarily mean that movies aren't going to get made. It's just that Hasbro's not the one investing in them. So Paramount owns the rights to Transformers. If they want to make another Transformers movies, they're welcome to. It's just that Hasbro won't be investing the the money that they were before. That's all that it means.
Yeah, it's funny because everybody jumped on the moment that Transformers 1 didn't make enough money. Everybody started jumping from surely we're getting a sequel or a trilogy or whatever immediately to we're getting nothing. And my mind didn't go there. My mind went to straight to streaming. My mind went to some lower budget, not using Hollywood actors, but using real voice actors. Straight to streaming sequel is going to happen. Maybe not next year, maybe not in the next 2 years, but eventually, we'll get that sequel, but it's not going to be another Hollywood big deal like this first one was.
See, I felt like that it meant that they're probably just going to do the Bay formula, Bay movies, because those are safer than some. Like, I do
Possible.
agree with you, Anna. I think you're doing the straight to streaming, cheaper, whatever thing. They'll probably something like that'll probably happen too. But I think it just means that we're going to see more Bay stuff. Because it's whatever Paramount wants to do with the brand, not necessarily Hasbro.
Sure.
So, but then also with that, they said they were going to focus more on video games. And so I'm curious with that because we already got, apparently a video game came out like a week or two ago or something like that. And it never really hit the news. Didn't even realize, Anna, you sent a link to a Steam thing or whatever, but
yeah, it's called Transformers. I already forgot the name because it was so impactful. It's very exciting. It's about racing and shooting and getting bad reviews.
I mean, video games have like different tiers these days, and I feel like they've always had different tiers, but you can tell like when a game is like was it Moon or High Moon Studios that made made the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron games. Like those felt like legitimate, video games that used Transformers, but were like legitimate video games that other people could play and enjoy. Then you've got this stuff that's like the Batman Arkham games or the Sony Spider-Man games, which are just like, okay, those are using a property, but making phenomenal games with that property. And then you've got the games that are just like what Anna was just talking about, where it's like, hey, here's some random game mechanics like that are pretty generic. And we're essentially going to slap like Transformer skins on them on the game and sell it as that. So it doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel unique. It just feels like some generic thing that, okay, is branded with Transformer stuff.
The last 3 games, right? Galactic Trials is the new one, right? I didn't actually forget the name to it. Galactic Trials is the new one. Racing, shooting, and as I said, bad reviews. The one before that was Earthspark Expedition, generic action game, play as Bumblebee, kind of sort of do some Earthspark stuff. Cool, whatever. The one before that, Battlegrounds, simplified tactics game, kind of XCOM / tactical battle game that actually got mediocre to good reviews, but no one really talked about it. All those are kind of like these, like, you know, light, marketed towards kids, get marked down pretty quick, make decent Christmas presents for your Transformers fan and your family type of deals. I don't think that's where the money is in gaming at this point. I think the money in gaming for a company like Hasbro, for a property like Transformers, it's seriously with the other thing that they do that I did talk about on an episode that no one else really got into, is things like Fortnite skins, right? Like putting skins in Fortnite and Roblox and the games that make lots of money. They did the Overwatch skins, which were hideous. Putting it into those big games that get a lot of players and a lot of attention as permanent advertisements, right? Players who buy those Fortnite skins are going to wear them and remind other players that Transformers exists as an advertising tactic for years to come, because Fortnite is popular and big, right? So I think those types of things are really good uses of their time to get into gaming.
Fortnite skins, didn't they? Like, I'm pretty sure they had Transformers Fortnite skins.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. There were Transformers Fortnite skins. There were Transformers. There's been Transformers skins in a lot of the big games. Fortnite, Overwatch. Oh my God, why is the Smite, the one with the gods? That's another big online game. You know, there's Transformers skins in those games, and people are going to be dressed up as Optimus Prime in all of those games, reminding you that Optimus Prime exists. Reminding you that, do they still make Transformers toys? Ooh, a fancy new Optimus toy. I can buy one of those, right? I think that is really effective and probably worth more of their time than coming up with these, you know, mediocre Transformers games.
I don't know where these things stand, though, because sometimes you make something that's mediocre and cheap and you don't have to spend a lot of money, and you're just, you know, you don't have to make a lot to have a decent profit margin. So, you know, that's a factor in this stuff as well. You know, and who knows how much Hasbro themselves are laying out with this, or if, again, this is like Fortnite where they're getting paid by a gaming company. They're like, hey, we want to make a Transformers game, and you know, they get paid to use the IP for the game. You know, I'm way out of my league when it comes to knowing what makes money for them on that sort of stuff and what doesn't. I mean, certainly when you look at the biggest, highest grossing media thing of all time is Grand Theft Auto Online. So, you know, when you have stuff like that, that's like just making money hand over fist, you know, these companies want to make that next sort of thing. They want to either make it or be part of that, whether it's a Baldur's Gate or a Fortnite or Grand Theft Auto Online or Pokemon Go, something along those lines that just, you know, the microtransaction stuff just keeps feeding you more and more money.
Well, yeah, and I think honestly that's what I feel like the future for Hasbro, like those types of games, just unlocking character after character, because Transformers is one of those properties that, like, they never run out of, you know, different themed characters. You know, I know we play, I play the, what the heck is that game called? The Earth Wars. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's still going, right? Like, they're still adding new characters.
I don't play Earth Wars.
But they're still after like 6 or 7 years adding new characters, right? Because there's new representations that come out all the time. So I think that they'll probably, you know, it'll be interesting to see if they try to get more into mobile stuff, or if they'll actually try to do another AAA online game when they're saying that they're going to put more money into video games. But
does that announcement change at all your take on whether or not we'll get a Transformers Reactivate ever released?
So speaking of new Transformers game, I don't know if you guys know, but just earlier this month, a new Transformers mobile game was announced for 2025 called Transformers Eternal War. And it's an idle game, an idle RPG, which is all the rage these days.
What is that?
I don't know what that is, but why did they
means.
name the game the same thing twice?
Eternal War versus Earth Wars.
No. Transformers is essentially the story of Eternal War.
Ah, yes.
It's
It's Eternal War, Eternal War.
Transformers, yeah. It's like it's not novel, but I mean, I guess we've never seen that title together there. I mean, do we know what did you say, an idle RPG?
It's going to be a new idle RPG adventure mobile game.
What does that mean?
Translate that for us, please.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of these games where you can kind of set your game to do certain things on its own and kind of log out of the game. Like really popular RPGs called it's just AFK, right? Just called AFK Journey is the new one, but it's just like, it's an idle RPG game. Like you can actually play the RPG fights, or you can kind of let it do things on its own. You build resources, you come back to it, you use those resources to do fun things.
Do you kind of become an NPC, like for the other people in the game while you're away?
It's more that the game does something useful for you while you're gone. So you can call it an idle game, IDLE. So like this will basically be the idea that, basically, like you guys probably all played, I just imagine you guys all played StarCraft or some sort of resource management strategy game at some point or another. It's like having your resource gathering characters working while you have the game turned off. You come back to it and they've done things for you, and you use those resources to do more.
This just to me feels like AI taking a job, but like not even a job, like AI taking over your pastime.
They work really well because basically like there's always something to jump into. So like if you just pick up the game at 4:00 on Friday, like there's rewards for turning it on because you get to mess with the stuff. And then there's rewards to turn it on again at midnight that day when you're going to bed, because there's more stuff to look at and more stuff to do. So it gets you to log in multiple times. And, if you're just a little bit away from getting that next thing you want, a nice microtransaction for $5 can have you make that little bit of progress instead of having to wait 48 hours to do it. They work pretty well. So I'm curious to see, like, will they make a good one? Because there's a lot of good ones out there that are actually like fun. And then there's a lot of idle RPG games that run for all of 6 months and close down because they're not any good. I feel like Transformers could definitely pull that one off.
Yeah. So
I
I guess
suddenly feel like the youngest cast member being the only one who knows what an idle game is. But anyway.
You're just more into gaming than I think the three of us put together are.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is true.
I just like, what the hell is that genre? Like, what does it mean?
It's big. It's real big.
I bet I'm familiar with it. I just didn't know that's what you call it.
It makes buckets of money.
Yeah. Well, the biggest crime against humanity is that, in Sim City or like, I don't know, early games, if you wanted to upgrade something, you just upgrade, but they added that time component to it, which is such a screw job.
It's a killer.
6 days to upgrade your inn or whatever.
Yeah, but that's why you just pay $5.99 and it upgrades instantly.
But it also goes the other direction. It's like, hell no, I'm not paying that money. I'll just wait the time. And you forget, after 6 days of not logging in, you just fucking forget you were ever playing that game. So
that's why you need the little carrots. You gotta give the little carrots every day. You gotta get people to have dailies to log into.
Yeah, that's Destiny's sort of like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 100% like that. That's just it's a shooting game. That's a boom boom.
So I guess the actual posted topic for this week was supposed to be things that Transformers that you're thankful for. And I know starting off, Zaldron says that he is thankful for lazy POS Godzilla crossovers. Paul, did you get your
Thank
lazy
you.
POS Godzilla crossover?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't. It's not here yet. The thing doesn't exist, but I can't wait for it. I don't care. Like, that's gonna be a cool toy, and I'm gonna be glad I have that. It's not for everybody.
I mean, the Grimlock mold, so it's like the Megatron, whatever Godzilla one. Like, I mean, that's a good mold. So I think from that standpoint, now the Optimus still is not for sale, right?
Not in the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like that thing might be Japan only. I don't know, or else they really delay the release. That would be also strange. But maybe BMAC just like has had enough. Said we are not selling this crap because it's going to end up at Ollie's. So cut the Silver Prime. I don't know. I can tie all this together. Everything we've talked about. I like those toys. And sorry, Zaldron. Where did it show me on the doll where it hurt you? It's Godzilla. It's cool.
Talking to him weekly, I can tell you that I think it really has to do with the fact that there are really legitimately good crossover toys coming out. Like there are some real winners in the Transformers crossovers and other types of crossovers. But there are some really impressive Transformers crossover toys, and there's those, and they're just they're just repaints, and they're kind of strange.
Yeah, they're polarizing, but not very divisive release.
Very divisive, super divisive.
I don't know. I can see from a standpoint like I'm not like I enjoy Godzilla, but I would not consider myself like, oh, I have to be a big Godzilla collector or whatever, right? But like, for example, when Ectotron first came out, or when the Back to the Future crossover, whatever the heck Gigawatt came out, like both of those are super cool, and like I really like both of those properties. And so I was really excited to get that toy, and I was not disappointed. Like, those are both fantastic toys, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Whereas I feel like if I was a Godzilla fan, I could see where you would not be that excited for this crossover, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not an exciting Godzilla toy, and it's not an exciting Transformers toy.
It's a release. But in the favor of the fact that we've already been at this an hour, I'm going to go to the next thing we're thankful for. And by we, I mean me. And I'm thankful for upgrade kits, because otherwise the Slipstream figure is going to be annoying the crap out of me forever because her little null rays cannot go on her arms. That's just not a thing that can happen. So I've heard this rumor that a little Nonef is going to be putting out an upgrade kit for me, so I can actually put those darn things on her arms where they go. Because they can kind of go, like there's a hole in the back of her shoulder just to make you feel like angry. So you can kind of stick it on the back of her shoulder, but then her arm has to be on backwards. It's really annoying. So I'm glad that someone's going to help fix this mostly competent Slipstream figure. She definitely wears the mold better than Windblade did. And I'm glad someone's going to fix it. And I'm glad that DNA is going to give us a kit to make our Dino Keen set from Hasbro look even better and be like a really nice looking combiner to set with good old Deathsaurus and friends. So I am thankful for upgrade kits. They're a cool option.
I'm thankful for blockies, and I just think blockies are fun little toys. I mean, the price point is great. The amount of toys, the amount of figures and characters that you can get out of them is great. My son likes them a lot. So just all across the board, that's a fun new way to interact with Transformers. It's not even that new, but it's just a fun kind of different way to interact with Transformers.
I'm thankful that they're taking off, and I get to be hipster about them, Because I bought those things back when they were just like this little rumor on Show Z and they were like on random sites. And I was like, ooh, these look really fun and interesting and weird. And that was months before any of the like mainstream folks like y'all got to be talking about it. And I got the first set and I didn't even talk about them because I found them to be utterly mediocre. I was like, oh, these are cute little kids. I guess they're okay, but their faces sure are hideous. And I was like, look, guys, whatever. Oh, I got this new other thing. And I moved on. So I get to be totally hipster and be like, I got these first and not actually first. Like, definitely way past first, but way before they got popular.
Well, but you
I got them
sure
and
as shit
rejected
wasn't
them.
telling anyone that you thought
I
that they
did
were.
because they were so mediocre. I was just like, oh, look, I just tossed it aside and moved on.
What is mediocre about them? I'm kind of confused.
It's those faces. The faces. The humanoid faces. They're like, oh, they don't look good.
But that's like the
I don't know,
style.
some of the faces are awesome. Like,
Right.
the head sculpts are great.
So the ones
Scrapper,
that have like face
super
mask, yeah, the ones that have face mask and covers and like Optimus faces and stuff, those look fine. It's the ones that have the like human faces, they're all like, they all look like they're all scrunchy. They lend themselves to the Transformers One art style perfectly. When they do the Transformers One figures, they'll look perfect because they're already all like squishied.
So honestly, like I'm really impressed by those blocky figures. How much do those things cost again? Like what is it, $10, $15 or whatever it is, right?
Not too expensive.
So
8. They should be 8.
Okay. So
Blind box,
whatever they are, like $10, $8, like whatever, right? So for like I got the what the heck were the other model kits, Anna?
Flame toys.
There's
Like
been a
flame
lot.
toys, right? Like those were not fun at all to put together. Like they were
those are
overpriced
hard.
for what they were, and like they were fine, right? But like for
So those
$8,
are like
again, I know it's
into the
different.
niche of Gunpla, right?
Right.
They fit into that niche of like model kit builders. And these are somewhere between Gunpla and Lego, right? They're a little closer on the Lego side of simplicity.
That sounds awesome.
They take a few minutes to put
Somewhere
together.
between Gunpla and Lego, like fantastic. Sign me up. So not only that, and they're $8 or whatever, they look pretty decent. Like for what they are, like I'm just thinking as a collector, right? Like, would I rather have this or would I rather have the Funko Pops, right? Or even like some of the Super 7 figures or whatever, right? So like, I mean, to me, I feel like the value of blockies compared to, compared to that is so much higher.
Okay, if you want to compare them to Funko Pop, they are like amazing because I hate Funko. But if you want to compare them to that or Super 7, okay, great. They're wonderful. I just compare them to things that have good faces.
What? What else can you get for $8? Like, have you been to the toy store and to the store lately? Like, what can you even get for $8 at this point?
Anna, you buy some whack stuff, and I feel like you're just projecting on these blockies. Like some of those things have very strange faces, and you like KOs and crap, and you like love it. You love the gaudy ugliness of some of this stuff.
Well, yeah,
and the blockies'
like
faces are a little squishy, so they gotta die. Like
That's right.
I don't see the. If you're picking favorites, so that's what you're doing. I don't know why you have against blockies, but
I am. I'm just all against the blockies. But I can tell you, like I got the when they first came out, the YOLO Park did a set of kits that were about the size of blockies, right? And those things are just like they have no fun factor, right? Like they look okay, but they're not fun.
They're awful. They're awful. Like compared to, I thought those were gonna be cool, and then I got block. I had them both, and I was like, oh, these do suck because these are awesome. Like, and this is the way to go. It's yin or yang, and the blockies one. So I'm glad we agree on that.
Faces, but everything else is worse, right? They're not fun. They don't like. Yeah. They don't bring a joyful experience. They're just like, oh, I put together a little Transformer guy. Okay, he goes right on the shelf. Bye.
And that's not to say YOLO Park sucks, because if you have the bigger stuff,
Everything else they made is great.
Incredible. They just like they
Really
downgrade.
good.
They like did a dumpster dive. Like we need a brand that's at this price point. We don't know what to do, and they made some real shit.
And those are real cheap. They're the little YOLO Park figures, like they're really cheap, and they show it. They show it.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas, I really love your comparison of Blockies to Funko Pop or the Super 7 reaction toys. I mean, you can get 2 Blockies and pay less than you would for a Super 7 reaction figure. And the Blockies are so much more worth money. Like, that's why I'm trying very hard to teach my son the value of money, not just in terms of like you actually getting something, but how much time are you getting out of the dollars that you spend. Like, you spend $6 on a pack of Pokemon cards. You open it up, you flip through it. You don't like any of them. There goes your entire $6. Hope you enjoyed that. Whereas the Blockies he's bought for $8, he enjoys putting them together. He enjoys building them. He enjoys messing around with them. He'll swap parts. And yeah, that is an $8 that he gets a lot of mileage out of.
Right. Like, how much is a Lego minifig these days? Like, I have not bought one lately.
I mean, if you're buying one at a convention, they're about $5 a piece.
But if you're getting them like from the Lego store,
they don't sell them individually too often. Like they kind of get you to buy like an army builder pack where it's. So yeah, you can go and like build your own Lego minifigure out of different things, and I think again it's roughly $5.
So I think Lucas is referring to the blind bagged ones. So they've done those blind bag ones forever.
Yes. Those are $5 or $6. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So it's not that far off of if you buy a Blocky for $8, right? And you're getting a lot more play value, I feel like, compared to that. I don't know. I mean, I think the Blockies are super cool. I think it's something that, I don't know if like, it'll take off with kids or not, but I could see buying my kids some of those for as stocking stuffers or whatever, and them actually putting them together and enjoying them and all that compared to some of the other stuff they get.
Yeah, that's one of my plans. And that Blocky Sentinel Prime. Sorry, go ahead, Anna.
I said, in all seriousness, I'm glad they're taking off too, just because they're good for the brand, right? Something cheap.
Yeah. We talked earlier this year about they're getting rid of Core Class, so they're getting rid of that cheap Transformer price point, and here comes Blockies in at a lower price point, and I would much rather have this Blocky than this Core Steeljaw.
You're so right, though.
Yeah, and that's not to say that all cores are like that. It's just I'm obviously picking a very, very bad core toy as an example.
No, but if this is the entry point, right? If deluxes are the entry point right now, these things are $25. That's not a good entry point for allowance for a kid.
Yeah.
It's a little too high. So having something they can get that's actually worthwhile and decent is great.
Yeah, I've not adjusted my kid's allowance due to inflation, so that he hasn't brought that up yet.
Man, it's rough.
All right, what else are we thankful for? Anything?
I was gonna say that I'm thankful that Hasbro is willing to do some just stuff that's out there. That they're doing the because these Marvel figures that they did, right? Were they only released through Hasbro Pulse, or were they also released? Like, I can't remember if it was a line wide like selects release like through Big Bad and places like that, or was it just through Pulse?
Nodding my head, yes, it's Pulse. It's
Pulse. So like, I'm glad that they're willing to do this kind of stuff. So like, when we lost the Collectors Club, that it got replaced by them doing it themselves, but at a reasonable price. So even though it, may be relatively lower runs, I feel like that they've done a pretty good job with some of this stuff, and it's fun to get these kind of these kind of toys or whatever, they're not just getting stuff at mass retail.
So you're like, not everything showing up at mass retail? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm just saying that Hasbro is willing to do some oddball stuff, is what I'm saying. Like, I was going to put Dino King as well. I mean, that's kind of another one, too, that, that us as collectors appreciate seeing this kind of stuff. That even though it may not work at a Walmart or Target or something like that, we can still get some of these types of things.
Oh, I think I hear you saying that little known super fan favorite characters that aren't in any films or anything, and their stories never been told, should probably be saved for exclusives for the fans on websites, right? Like, you wouldn't want to make a whole toy line of those guys? Is that what you're saying?
I know where you're going with this, Paul, and I love it.
Is that what I'm hearing? I just want to make sure that that's what I'm hearing.
Probably.
Your
Sure. Yes, Paul. Yeah.
Okay. That's great. I'm with you. I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful for 2025. Great year to sell toys.
Now I got it. Yeah. But I mean, we've talked for years about that they need to do new characters and new stuff to the.
Those aren't new. They're not. Those are old.
They're old.
I think new is new. If it already existed, it's not fucking new. The primes are not new. They're just not popular.
Those toys. They're. It's not that they're not popular. It's just that there's like minimal lore on them.
Okay, I can calm down and I can see where you're going, because like Boba Fett didn't have a lot of lore, right? But he was popular.
Beloved.
Were there 13 Boba Fett?
Yes.
Do you watch The Mandalorian?
Yeah, I know now. They really are.
Yeah. I mean, like, there are characters like Megatronus and the Fallen and Tarn that like just look cool and they all have that similar design of the Decepticon logo as their face.
Again, they're not new.
They're not new, but at the same time, it's just like it's just one of these things that it's mining a corner of the Transformers universe that has barely been mined, and again, characters that we haven't really gotten toys of before. So I'm on board for it.
It's really cool when we get toys of things we've seen that look awesome, and we know what they do, and we know a lot about them. That is really exciting. That is exciting, because that's something we want, right? But when it's something I don't know fucking shit about, because it's never been written down or shown to me, except in a book that I had to buy at Barnes and Noble's 15 years ago, I'm not sure I give a shit, and anyone else will either.
But Paul, they were in the movie that failed, so it's okay now.
Well, yeah, it ties back to that too, and I'm thankful for this movie. That was my thing, and I'm sorry,
Paul,
Lucas, if this is going on.
What it sounds to me like is that you too would like to join in on this class action lawsuit.
No, I wouldn't. Paul's gonna join, but like stipulate to the attorneys. No. You also need to cover Transformers, Age of the Primes. It must be in the lawsuits. You must cover it. It must be included.
Honestly, I have a theory on all this. A little bit of one. Clearly, this is.
All right, what's your theory?
Been thinking about this like 8 hours. It's a big deal. I think Hasbro, like this, the whole thing is about, they misread demand really badly. That's possible. Or maybe demand has just shrunk so far, it's below Hasbro's minimum MOQ, like for production in total at the factories they work at. So they have to make this shit. orders are in, they have to make it, because if they say, you know what, we want to cut that because we know it's not going to sell, like that might put the whole contract in jeopardy, you know. So they have to get 100,000 Black Panthers, 100,000 Mantis person, you know, whatever. Maybe that's just a theory.
But I don't
That's a
understand,
good
like, what is the
segue.
difference about doing something, you know, whatever they're doing versus throwing out G1 again and redoing G1? Like, that's what I'm confused about. Why, like, doing Age of the Primes versus...
Just do something actually new. Actually new. That would be great.
Oh yeah,
When
everybody
Beast Wars
really got
happened,
into Earthspark.
That's not new. That
It was
is
new.
a new version of the old thing.
Right.
Beast Wars was not that.
There's drippy magic water that makes new robots on Earth. That's new. They're
The
Earthborn
characters were new.
robots. They're
They-
babies.
They still shouldn't have called Megatron. I think that was a huge mistake, brand-breaking mistake.
It's Transformers Muppet Babies. It's perfect.
But the problem with this is that in order to do something new, they also have to have a way to introduce these new characters. As you were saying before, Paul, right? Like, instead of it just being a 15-year-old book at Barnes & Noble or whatever. And Hasbro doesn't have the money to dump into the production of advertising that stuff, right? So that's the problem. That's the reason why it's probably better for them just to go back to the crap that everybody knows, because, like, you know, you're going to stuff you if you release another Grimlock, another Bumblebee, you know, Optimus Prime, all that, it's going to, you know, it's going to sell. Whereas, like, you don't know if Megatronus is going to sell or not.
I think that one's going to sell pretty good.
No,
Yeah,
no,
he's
he
got a
looks
look.
cool.
He's a
Right.
Mandalorian. He's a Boba Fett level character where he looks cool enough that his look will sell the toy even without a backstory.
Right.
Because the look was established a long time ago, and they're leaning into it.
I understand.
A lot of the other primes do not have that, have nothing to lean on, you know?
I credit Hasbro for trying to find different ways to build up the brand IP. Like, because we can go back, and within the last 5 years, they did do something through Transformers that was all new, whole cloth, no ties to the G1 story or any of that, and it flopped.
Bots.
Yes,
Bots.
Bots did not take off. You know,
Flip-flops.
maybe they had a level of success early on as a toy line, but it didn't last that long. And Lord knows that cartoon vanished on Netflix really fast.
It was a bot flip flop.
It's all timing, man. You know, they cannot.
Yes.
They have maybe not never, but it very rarely can they sync up that cycle with the product and the media. It is just unbelievable how hard that must be.
It's incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard when you're trying to latch onto something and do your take on something that's already popular. So you're trying to jump on the Shopkins bandwagon with bots. And, you know, it just takes a while to design a product line and you know, get the factory to make them and get them in stores and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's always going to be a gamble. And so Hasbro is trying to minimize that risk, minimize that gamble by doing some combination of putting out new stuff to expand their IP while at the same time still giving fandom something that they can sink their teeth into that they've been wanting for a while. So it's a really tough tightrope act to walk.
Right, but that's the problem is if you're trying to copy whatever the popular thing is, you know by the time you get it out, it won't be popular anymore.
Not necessarily. Some things have staying power. Again, Funko Pops. Like, who would have thought, however long ago those things started to trickle out, that they'd still be around at this point in time? You know, some things have more staying power than we give them credit for.
You watched that Funko movie?
What?
Did you watch that Funko movie?
I didn't even know there was a Funko movie.
It was about the rise and fall. Like, I don't know if now there's fall, but when it came out, it was on Netflix. It was like a documentary on how Funko started.
I kind of remember seeing ads for that, but no, I've never seen it.
It was around the time the Toys That Made Us came out. I remember that. It's like docs about toys were actually kind of cool for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I never saw that. I think I meant to watch the Beanie Baby one and never got around to it.
I wanted to segue off something Paul said, but it's been like 2 hours since he said it, so it's not as good of a segue. But Paul mentioned there's a minimum Hasbro can produce, and maybe that minimum is still too big for the amount of demand that's out there. We know who does really small production runs. That's third party. And our viewer Taleb said that that's what he's thankful for this Thanksgiving. Specifically, he said, I'm thankful for third party keeping the brand alive. And perhaps there's a little bit to that, right? Because third party does these smaller runs, because third party does this more fan servicey stuff, maybe it does keep the brand alive for some people. He's a huge collector, right? Like, he has this massive collection, but it's not Hasbro Transformers. He has a massive collection of Classified, because Classified is good enough for his shelf, and it's very nice, and he has this really pretty Classified collection. But otherwise, he's only sticking with Transformers through third party. I think Transformers might have lost them, because there's just not that like consistent high quality look for Transformers that they're getting from Classified. So I think it can keep the brand alive for some people. And we should be thankful for that. Even those of us who don't like third party, Paul.
No, I'm thankful we're going to have this scenario episode, and that's all we're going to talk about is what happens at the end of Hasbro, and we'll talk about that.
Third party.
So if you take Studio Series Transformers and G.I. Joe Classified, are they really that much different?
Yeah, I think so. Because I can't really think of okay, so you take Classified figures, right? And you think, what if there was G.I. Joe Classic, G.I. Joe Classified, and G.I. Joe Masterpiece? What would be the difference between Masterpiece and Classified, right? I don't think there's nearly as big of a jump to make from Classified to Masterpiece as there is from Mainline to Masterpiece. Our Studio Series.
So, I mean, you have Mezco and Hot Toys that I would say would be equivalent of Masterpiece for action figure versus a Transformer. Those are just different, I'd say, styles of making a toy. You get more soft goods. You get, I don't know. I like the comparison that Lucas just made of Studio Series and Classified. I think that's pretty apropos. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy both lines, so I'm just,
I don't know.
I just throwing my money out the window.
If Mezco or whoever was making G.I. Joe, I wonder if, Talib would be collecting G.I. Joe Classified, or if he'd just be collecting the Mezco stuff. Or just whatever higher end that there is. I think he just wants to collect the top end of that stuff. And I don't know that the third party is at all keeping Transformers alive. Just the production runs of those figures are not high enough. It's maybe 10,000, maybe. It's
certainly not helping keep it alive.
Right. I don't think that the few thousand people that buy third party or whatever, again, it's big for us. We're in that community, but I don't know. And I think that there's an argument to say that third party has somewhat killed off Masterpiece. So
yeah,
good,
the opposite
good
of
bad.
life.
So, well, I think third party keeps it alive for some people. I think some of the fans toys bros, I think they would have stepped away from Transformers by now if not for third party. because it's all they're collecting. And I think Caleb's kind of in that same kind of area of like might have walked away from Transformers if not for third party. I think I probably would have walked away from Transformers in the years before Siege. I think I would have finally said, okay, you know what, after Combiner Wars, I would have been like, there's just not much else for me to do. I might have tuned out, but third party kind of kept me watching. I wasn't buying much, but I was looking at releases. I was in grad school. I didn't have any money. And I think that's kind of what kept me interested, is just seeing those toys. And I think in a lot of ways, Hasbro has popped back up to where they're releasing just, really fantastic toys again. But I think it did keep me interested during that little bit of a drought we had. Yeah, that guy. He's good.
Yeah.
He's a halfway decent toy.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like that the people collecting that, if Hasbro lost every single person that, mainly collects, Hasbro's already lost those people anyway, right? Like, those people don't collect Hasbro. So I'd argue that it's not keeping the brand alive for them because, like, they don't buy Hasbro stuff. So
I would say if third party didn't exist, then maybe they would be buying Hasbro.
But like, it's maybe keeping the brand partially alive for Takara, because like maybe that they're buying some Masterpiece, maybe they would have just bought, quit collecting that stuff altogether, I guess. But
I guess I just feel like if you're gonna spend $250 on a Fans Toys Transformer, you really, really like this stuff. And you will want to get the best version of those things that you like. Fans Toys, for a lot of people, is that best version. For other people, Studio Series is the best version of that character.
Man, I'm including myself on this, but aren't we some turds? We cannot go over what we are thankful for without arguing about it. It is fantastic. I love it so much. And
it's called content. It's called creating content.
Right.
It's just funny to me because it's like, oh, we're thankful for this. And it's like, but you're wrong. Don't be thankful for that.
Right, but it's not interesting.
How dare you?
If we were all just like, yes, 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 and then all agreeing, then we wouldn't be going an hour and a half.
We would have been done 45 minutes ago.
Right, exactly. And then you would have, what are you going to do? Go to bed?
Yes.
And no one here is saying you're wrong. We're saying to leave is wrong. And that's, I think, something we can all agree on.
Yes, it's definitely better to tell your viewers wrong.
Earlier we said Anna was wrong about blocking.
Anna is wrong. Constantly.
Well, you know what? You'll have to, like, back up the tape and show me that moment, because I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I'm thankful for one more thing. Just because I want to pause on him. But I can't do this, right? Because it's slightly sarcastic. Because I am thankful that in the last, year and a half to 2 years, Takara has once again started polishing our turds and giving us back the Hasbro molds with better paint and deco so that I can finally get them and go, this is pretty now. Okay. Earthrise Megatron kind of meh, but when he's painted up like this, okay. I'm happy for that. I'm very thankful.
It's like we got the band back together over in Japan.
Yeah, it's nice.
Old time rolling again.
They're really making those Beast Wars figures. They're really making those look, or the Beast Wars figures from Mainline. They're really making those look fantastic. Shining up them turds. I'm honestly thankful for that.
See, there you go. Now we're just all agreeing with you, and so then it's not interesting.
Happy, we're all so positive.
I'm thankful that we finally have a successful Transformers comic again after that horrible 13-year IDW run of just making quality content that, the masses didn't care about. Now we finally have this stuff that's supposedly award-winning that none of us are really reading.
That's not true. I think the second half of the room here is reading it.
Paul, how is the
I'm hanging on every word, bro. Like, what's up?
Yeah, how is the new comic? Because I kind of quit reading. Is it good? Do you like it? Should I
what do you want me
back
to,
in?
What, you want me to read a TF Wiki article for you? Come on, read the books. They're good.
Yeah.
Phil, where are you in this story?
I barely read for fun right now.
Yeah.
So I haven't read the books in a few, but I'm buying them. They're stacking up.
Well,
I think I'm two issues behind.
That's it. Okay,
I'm
so you
reading
finished
them.
the last arc.
Yes, I finished the last arc.
It's really weird. These last 2 issues are like a mini arc. They're just like a 2-parter story, and it wasn't very clear, like what was going on. And now they're starting another 6-issue arc, like a normal size one. And so now the trade paperback at the end of this one is going to be missing the climax of the arc.
Yeah.
Because the 2 issues are in the middle. Which, I mean, maybe that's normal in comics and doesn't matter, but I was just like,
they don't always
hurting
do
me.
6 issues as a trade. That's the common thing, but they don't always do it like that. Or maybe they'll do the 2 issues and combine that with like the free comic day book or something else to kind of, fluff it out.
It just was strange. It was notable. But I don't want to spoil the story because, I mean, it's,
No, I was
people
just
do it on the
curious.
internet every day.
Like, I was just curious if it was worth my time to pick up because I kind of fell off, like, reading it. It didn't, it wasn't bad, but it didn't really, like, grab me to where I'm like, oh, I have to, keep reading this. And so I was just curious if you felt like it was worth my time to actually pick it up.
Dude, I mean, I stop what I'm doing to read it as soon as I get it.
I think you can go finish that first arc, like read through those first 12 issues. Like maybe you don't want to jump in on the second arc until it's finished, just because like all together they're quite the ride. Like they're really fun. I think it's the way it's written kind of in this action movie style can really leave you like reading a single issue at a time. You can really feel like, that wasn't a satisfying experience because I only got to see just a teeny weeny bit of it. But I think that, and this is coming from the height of IDW Word. They put out like entire novels in a 20-page comic book. It's the opposite of that. You read through them very fast and they're very actiony. But I think if you read all 12, not in a single setting, but across a week or whatever, I think it would be a really satisfying story.
Very cinematic.
Very cinematic.
And you just put some bad thoughts in my brain.
Good. We don't have time for thoughts, guys. We should really wrap up.
Yeah, we don't have time for this. This is for later.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Is there anything else that we want to be thankful for or whatever? Or we good?
I'm thankful for you guys. Oh, hug.
I'm thankful that we could make the time to do an episode this week, even though Thanksgiving's coming.
Yeah.
It was kind of a Turkey Day miracle for me. I was able to be here, so thank you guys.
There you go. Well, thank you guys for joining me, and thank you guys for everyone in the chat. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm sure if you've already gotten this far, you probably have already subscribed, but
I am thankful, Lucas, for the people who do like and subscribe and comment and share these videos.
Absolutely.
I'm thankful for Lucas for pressing play and getting us organized and here at the same time and having a bright, sunshiny face the whole time through.
Yeah, like when you tell Lucas that you're like 50-50 and like at 8 o'clock, he's like sending you the message like, we're going in an hour, let's go. Like, I guess that decides for me. That's the coin toss decision right there. I'm in.
There you go. All right, well, thank you guys, and we'll see everyone next week.
Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.